Welcome home, my love. This is Coming Home with Mama T. I'm your host, Tiara, aka Mama T, and on this podcast, we explore the journey of creating the life of our desires through mastering manifestation, maintaining a positive mindset, and living luxuriously. I'm feeling called in this moment to remind you that living luxuriously has nothing to do with the amount of money you spend or anything like that. It is about living a life that brings you joy, living a life that lights you up, living a life that is full of all the yummy goodness that makes you happy and excited. So with that caveat, today I have a story for you. I want to talk to you about investing our energy, making our own energetic investments. So it came to me this morning. Growing up, I was always like a people pleaser, and I looked at life as kind of like I needed to have a gimmick to get people to buy into me being my friend. While I had plenty of friends and family members that loved me, for me, as me, for some reason I got into my head that I needed to make up and sacrifice and do something extra to gather the masses, if you will. I don't know why. It just was something, and I feel like part of it might have been tied to the constant being told I was overweight, and thus creating this program in my mind that because I'm overweight, I am somehow less than, and so I have to make up for it. And I created this whole story around, because I'm not, magazine or classically attractive, I have to thus work harder. And not to mention, I am also a person of color, so I have to work harder. And if you get into I'm a female person of color and I'm overweight, and also had to have braces and glasses at certain times of my life. So it's just I had all of these aesthetic things that were quote unquote up against me, if you wanted to believe in all of that. And in the space that I was in, it was kind of put into my head that that's something that I should believe. And it took me some time to break down that belief structure and understand that that was bullshit. But leading up to it, I spent a lot of time, whether it was conscious or subconscious, being okay, I have to do something extra to get these people's attention. I have to do something extra to get their love. I have to do something extra for them to want to play with me. I got this, I think about it when I was in preschool, for example. I remember being in preschool and, coming in and being made fun of for being fat, and then nobody wanting to play with me, or maybe only one person wanting to play with me, and sitting alone during playtime and things like that. Or maybe going up and becoming a teacher's pet because I wanted someone to talk to. And I remember there were some days where I'd actually just bring my own toys from home. And the days that I brought my own toys from home were the days that sometimes people who were normally mean to me wanted to play all of a sudden. They wanted to play because I had this toy. And I think about it because it happened multiple times, whether it was preschool, daycare, whatever. And I also learned that if I brought the same toy 2 days in a row, it wasn't as shiny or exciting the second day. The first day would get some people would be yeah, oh, what's that? I want to play with that. Let's play with Tiara. And then the next day it's oh, old news, moving on. And so to me, I felt I always had to reinvent myself or bring something new to the table to get these people's attention and get these people's love. I was looking for their love. And it makes me think about I think 6th grade. For Christmas that year, I went to the Dollar Tree because I'm money conscious like that. I had, I had some money from my birthdays and allowance saved up, and I was I have these people that I interact with the most at school, and I want to get them gifts. And while there were people the top 5 people got nicer gifts from other places that were a little bit more money, but the people that were other people on the list, they got I think I bought a perfume, and I mean it was I'm sure none of them used it, because now I think about it, that probably was shite perfume, but I got perfume. I think I got like 3 little items. So everybody got like about $3 spent on them. And I remember like being excited and wrapping everybody's gifts and like giving people all these gifts. And I remember an adult telling me, like you should really only be buying gifts for people who are getting gifts for you. And that was probably one of the first like conscious lessons of energy exchange. Because if we think about it, money is energy. And I know like the concept was coming from a place of like, you shouldn't be wasting your money on people who aren't wasting money on you. Or not wasting, I don't like that word. But like you shouldn't be investing your money on people who aren't investing money in you. And I think money is energy. So if you think about it as love or joy, you shouldn't be like working hard to bring joy into someone else's life that is not bringing joy into your life. And while I don't like the shoulding all over each other, whatever, like that concept, but the idea of why don't we invest our time and energy into the things that invest time and energy in a way that we appreciate back to us, right? It doesn't have to look exactly the same. It's not like I have to give you $5 so you can give me $5. That we might as well just both keep our $5, right? But we all have gifts and power that's unique to ourselves. So maybe I give you inspiration, I give you love, I give you guidance, I give you coaching, I give you whatever, and maybe you do pay me for it, energy exchange, right? I give you a tarot reading and you give me a review. I give you an energy healing and you give me a review. You give me money, you give me whatever. And so it comes back in some sort of value that helps us all out, right? It moves us all forward. And so this lesson in investing, really aligning with creating the life of our desires, right? If you're investing, like let's say you have a business that you want to grow, right? You are investing some time, you are investing some love into that business, right? I want you to be conscious about the kind of energy you are putting into whatever it is that you are spending your time on. If you have a job and you're like constantly just like, I hate it, I hate my manager, I hate my whatever, I'm encouraging you to pay attention to your perspective on that situation. Is it the best situation to be in? Maybe we pull out the tower cart, burn it all to the ground, and like go somewhere else. But maybe it's literally just the energy that we're bringing into it, right? Like, I have to work to make money, and in order to make money, I have to pay my bills, and So I'm stuck in this cycle, and I hate it, and I hate my life, and I hate my whatever. Well, if we change the way that we invest that energy, if we change our energy altogether so we can invest, like, I am thankful to have a job that allows me to go on vacation, or that allows me to pay my bills, that allows me to have a home. I am thankful for this. And then slowly but surely, we can change our experience, right? We can have a better experience. We can even manifest a completely different experience. Whether we leave the facility or not, it changes something in us because we've invested something different into our experience to create something more positive, more loving, more nurturing for ourselves. Give me a moment. When I think about my life and always wanting to create a gimmick for receiving of what it is that I desire, I have always found that it doesn't work out the way I intended or I've desired. Because one, it's a false response. It's a false love, right? Like it is 100% a reflection of not being authentic, right? And it creates this exhaustion over time, because if we show up as what we think other people want to see, other people want to listen to, other people want to invest in, if that's not us, if it doesn't bring us joy, if it doesn't bring us love, if it doesn't excite us, then we are completely emptying our energy cup, right? Because the thing that we're doing isn't filling our cup, right? That's probably why people often talk about like, what are like 3 things that you feel like you could do all day, every day, even if you didn't get paid for it. When people ask you about how to like starting a business or starting a blog or starting a podcast, starting whatever, what are 3 things that really light you up is often a question. And that way it gives you some longevity. But I have found when I talk to people about, building a business around the things that they're passionate about, a lot of people are afraid to do something because they're afraid they're going to lose the energy, the spark, as soon as money is tied to it. And while it can definitely happen, it's also about how we go about it, right? Because let's say, okay, well, I'm full on quitting my job and going all in on this thing that I'm super passionate about. Well, we do live in a society that money is needed for basic living expenses, and if we haven't set ourselves up in a way, maybe like with a decent savings that can get us through for a year or 2 while our business is started, if we don't have some sort of partner or investor in the company, if we haven't put ourselves in a situation that we can still be like in a safe space for a year or 2 going with that business plan, then we can create pressure on ourselves, right? If we put a timeline, for example, like maybe going away from the business, we're going to health, right? And we're like, all right, well, I have 6 months to lose 100 pounds and be the healthiest I've ever been, right? And then all of a sudden we go from, even if we like to exercise or we're finding a new love for cooking, it becomes a pressure point because one, we've made this huge goal, right? Some would call that unrealistic, kind of a goal, depending on what your body size is and all that. Like, we're not going to go into depth on the weight loss thing, but if we're creating a space where we've created a lot more fear, shame, and pressure around what it is that we're looking to build so we could fit it inside this box, then our perspective changes and the energy we invest in it changes, and that's where the falling out of love with the experience comes in. So we have to be conscious of that. We have to be conscious of the energy that we are investing into our experience. So if we're not loving something, if we are not loving ourselves, and we're bringing this false self to the space, we're training the space, one, to love the false self, not to love our authentic self. So we're creating a space that we can't ever have a break. I'm gonna let that sink in. When we create a space built upon some sort of gimmick, some sort of false self, some sort of idol, if you will, that's not natural to you. Mama T is something that's natural to me. Like the fact that the name has come up multiple times in my life. I've talked about it in previous podcasts. So like this identity that I am leaning into feels natural to me. So if you are, wanting to like take on an identity, a stage name, if you will, make sure that it's still you. Maybe it's a part of you, maybe it's not entirely you, but it's something, a core piece within you, because then that is where you want to create from. That is where you want to invest your energy from, because that is going to pay back. I'm like, if you see my hands moving, I think of it as like an infinity symbol, right? And if you're not familiar with the infinity symbol, it looks kind of like an elongated 8 and on its side. And infinity means that like the energy flows infinitely, right? There is no stopping point. It's like a circle, right? But twisted. And so it just keeps going. There is no end point, right? And so when we put out some energy, that energy comes back and goes back out and comes back in and goes back out and comes back in and goes back out, and so on and so forth. But what energy are we putting out? If we're putting out this like fake, non-authentic, gimmicky energy, just hoping to receive that love back, we're not putting out real love. And so when it comes back and it feels tarnished, it feels gross, it feels not what we wanted, it is unsatisfying. Think about the origin point. Think about the self. How can we be our more authentic self? How can we be more in touch with ourselves? How can we share ourself more deeply, more openly, more authentically, so that that energy that comes back is clean and pure and loving and more of what we desire? If you're looking for assistance and help on this experience, I invite you to book some Mama T energy. It is a beta a program that I am working, and so because it is beta, it is going to be offered at a very generous price point in comparison to what will be offered, a year, 2 years from now. So with that, 3 months working one-on-one with me. You have 2 30-minute sessions throughout the course of the month, as well as voice messenger opportunities to kind of get some touch space coaching with me on that. And so if that is something that you are interested in exploring, you can always go to www.bubbly.life/luxury living and scroll down to the Mama T Energy tab and click and read more on working one-on-one with me. These sessions are all about you. So maybe you want some energy healing, some Reiki, maybe you want to spend it, clearing your space. Maybe you want to spend it in life coaching session. This is going to be tailored towards you and your experience inside Mama T energy. And I would request that, as this is in a beta price point, that the other energy exchange would be that you would just offer a review, maybe come on a episode with me and chit chat with me about your experience in Mama T energy. And with that, I say thank you so much for listening and watching. Remember, sharing is caring. So please share this podcast out with 3 new friends and have the most magical day. Mwah.